Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Quick Resume podcast. It's us, your boys. We're going to be speaking about the possibility of another Master Chief Collection type thing today, happening on Xbox. We're going to be talking about maybe a Monster Hunter, like kind of exclusive game from Xbox. We're also going to be talking about that new Blizzard IP that they revealed out of nowhere for like job listings. All of that today. And can you believe it, more on the Quick Resume podcast.
Damn, I'd subscribe.
I've really sold you there. I'm not a con man, I promise.
Yeah.
Wicked. Okay. Thanks for coming today, everyone. I hope you've had a marvellous week. I hope it hasn't been too cold, depending on where you are on the planet. Just generally, I hope it hasn't been too cold or too hot, because either way, actually, isn't that pleasant, is it?
No. Yeah, we just like a nice middle temperature where it's comfy enough. Although having a nice cold evening, brisk outside, frost outside, and sitting inside playing games is pretty nice.
I quite like sunny days that are crispy. And you might think crispy isn't a weather. I disagree.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
it's like a crispy like freshness to it. Yeah. I love that shit. There's nothing like just like going out for like a walk when it's like really sunny outside, but like the grass is still like crunchy from like the frost.
Yes,
dude,
it's just satisfying.
Ace.
Yeah. No, I like that stuff. I like that a lot.
This has been our weather podcast, so if you guys,
that's it. If you guys like hearing about the weather, go somewhere else. Cool, man. I mean, what's going on? How's it hanging?
It's hanging all right. It's a bit personal, but yeah,
maybe
it's going fine. Yeah,
it's just a weird expression, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, because it literally is referring to
like the implication is penis. It's a penis.
It's referring to your penis. So I'd prefer not to let everyone know how it's hanging.
Fair enough. I can't really argue with that.
But yeah, no, I'm good, man. Pretty standard, to be honest. Nothing too spicy on the gaming front this week. I mean, I dipped my toes back into Halo with everything going on with that, with the event still going, and what else happened? Something else happened in Halo. Oh yeah, no, there was just like a decent like weekly reward for once. So I've been trying to complete that, but
have you already finished the event track?
Not yet. No, I think I need like 2 more. When does it end? It ends on next reset, does it?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah. So I think I only have a couple more to do. So I think I'll be fine to polish that off. But yeah, I haven't been playing much Halo, but just dip my toes in it more because I think everyone who's watched the last few episodes can tell that I have shifted away from Halo with the not really much to do sort of side of it. I mean, I could probably be dragged back in if we were all to just be like, oh yeah, let's try and hit Onyx or something like that. Then maybe I could be pulled back into it. But I think everyone's a bit touchy-feely with Halo at the moment. I think you're probably the only one that's consistently still playing it, and you've still considerably dropped your game time as well from what we used to have. So, but yeah, so
I mean, we just dipped our toes back in for like attrition, like we did with the new game mode, the attrition,
which is good, which was really good. It was a positive addition to the game for sure. And I'm not slamming Halo at all. And I think everyone knows that once we get past this season and regular seasons become 3 months long, I think things will feel a lot better and won't feel as stagnated as it is right now, because they have said this is the only 6-month season. And it's way too long. Like it's insane. I mean, even when we were absolutely addicted to Apex, it was the only game we played all the time. We kind of got bored of it, and they have 3-month seasons, and we kind of stopped playing within the last few weeks, even on a game like that. So, that's definitely harming it, I think. So once we get out of season 1, I think things will start to look a lot better.
Yeah, Absolutely, and it's just like for them, I think a lot of their focus is kind of like being more responsive to feedback. Obviously, getting back into the swing of things after the holidays. There's been like very quick, responsive changes to like the store and to like other things like we've got on the agenda. We might as well go into some of it now, but like Bethesda, Behemoth has been removed from ranked. The big sand map.
Yeah.
Which because that wasn't a popular thing, which was fair enough because that map was a pain in the ass in ranked. And I think obviously, the store price has changed. Did we just? I think we already spoke about that last week, didn't we?
We have discussed the store prices, which is another really positive thing to touch on. How generous they've been with all that. So
yeah, absolutely. And they confirmed that the credits coming in season 2, and there's supposedly a BTB fix coming this Thursday. Apparently, actually, for most people, it's back to working pretty much normal now. But it hasn't been. It hasn't been like a clean update, right back to 100%. But for most people are reporting that it's generally working 90% of the time now.
Okay, that's good. I didn't actually know that.
Neither did I.
That's good to hear.
But it's one of those things you don't want to get everyone on to be like, yeah, I've heard BTV's better, and then it doesn't work yet, and you're like, see you all in 2 months. So it'll be nice to have that kind of official, right, guys? It's past certification. Here we go. It's done. Here's the badge. So yeah, I'm definitely with you there. I'm excited for them to for this shit to not be the primary issue anymore. The customization, the shop, the BTB, so we can just be like, okay, can we just focus on rolling out that content treadmill? Or what's the roadmap? When are we getting new maps? Are there going to be balance changes? When's that happening? Because that sort of stuff, the game's been out since November now, 2 months without a balance change. I know it's launch and that's to be expected, but if we were to jump back into Apex, you would expect or any live service game, you would expect a balance change maybe a month and a half, maybe half a season.
Yeah, they normally do. I mean, they do. If something's really bad, Respawn do tend to punch in an update quite quick for guns in Apex, and then they normally do quite I wouldn't say shift in the meta, but they do try and change up the meta every 1.5 months, which is half a season. So you normally get a mid-season update, and that comes with a load of cosmetics, like maybe an heirloom or something like that as well. So, which is a really good halfway point, just like you said, to refresh the sandbox and make it feel different.
Yeah.
Because it's nice. There are so many guns in both Apex and Halo, and it's nice when I don't, obviously, I'm not one of those people where I don't expect every gun to be good. I understand that's the case, but it's nice to have a bit of a shift in the meta so you can use different stuff. It revitalizes the game for you a little bit. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I think that will make sense. So I think it's, for me, I'm kind of waiting for that. So as much as I want to get to season 2 so we can get into that regular cadence of here's your 3 monthly battle pass. It's the battle pass is revitalized. Obviously, here's some new modes, a new theme, a new armor core, whatever. All very exciting. Mm-hmm. But the next big thing that I'm now looking for is when's the next balance, or is there going to be a content drop? When is that happening? Realistically, because if that's not happening until season 2. Then that's obviously a long way, and I'm okay to say all right, well, I might just pop this down for a bit so I don't burn out and then come back then.
Plus, it's things like, will they add weapons to the sandbox as well? Will season 2 bring a fuel rod cannon with it? Something like that. Those sort of things would be really cool. And that to me is a lot more game hours than a battle pass, if it's done right, obviously.
Yeah, I think a bigger blog post is expected soon by the sounds of it, detailing what the next changes are, because we already know that what they intend to change, because in the final flightings they gave us that big feedback log which we went over on the show, of we know this needs addressing, we agree this needs addressing. One of the things that we were really talking about was the radar extension in BTB, and they said we're going to do that. We're not sure about Arena yet. But so we already have that, and we already know what they want to change, and it's just a matter of when, and I think there were things making some vehicles more viable, like the Chopper and the Banshee, and other bits and bobs. So there is that, and I think desync has been mentioned as well. It's been addressed. So I don't know. Again, time frames. That's all. It's just time frames. That's the thing I'm waiting for, because I honestly I'm at that sort of point where unless we are sort of all get back together and are okay to play ranked or play just for fun or play BTB, if nobody else was playing and the weekly reward wasn't good and there was no event going on, I would be like, I'll put this down this week. And that's absolutely fine. But like up to this point, because I'm still having fun like going through the the content catalog that's now coming out for the game. There's like a couple of people. Shout out to Standard Ace. This fucking dude puts out daily videos of like some new crazy tech in Halo. Yeah. And so like every day I have that in my and I it's like a 40-second video. I watch it. I go, you can do that, and then I spend the night playing Halo, and I'm trying to do that. Like one of the things was repulsing back the spikes off a needle. So he was like throwing it to a corner, expecting someone to be there, sprinting up, and then battering the spikes, and it like immediately cracks people. And it's like, and obviously you can do it defensively as well, just shit like that. Yeah, and it's like I can do that. So
yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, there is all of that going on. And I guess while we're on topic of Halo, recently, what was it? It was this week. The Halo channel finally announced numbers. So did Xbox as well. They said Forza Horizon 5 has hit 18 million. And Halo Infinite hit 20 million. So we got numbers, and those are obviously very good numbers. And which is obviously good because so many people just like want Halo dead. Like some people, if they said Halo has only had 1 million players, we're shutting the servers down, some people would rejoice and be happy. People would be like, as a Halo fan, I'm now glad that Halo is dead. It's like...
For sure. And now we have Activision, we've got Call of Duty.
Yeah,
who needs Halo?
Exactly, yeah. Because that's what you'll get. Yeah.
We're going to have a crossover, dude. We're going to have a Halo Call of Duty crossover, I'm calling it.
Do you know, I'm
Master
sure...
Master Chief's going to punch down with Soap McTavish. It's going to happen.
Yeah. But isn't Emil is basically fucking what's his face, isn't he? The Ghost Boy. What's his name?
I don't know.
Ghost Boy,
Mate, I can't.
He has the thing that pulls over his mouth and nose, and it's got like a skull on it.
Yeah, but I don't know his name. I played that campaign God knows how long ago. Why are you giving me those looks? You don't know his name either.
Yeah, but you excel at this. You excel at remembering weird little details. So
yeah, but not that. Okay. Sorry, I actually repressed Call of Duty Ghosts anyway because that game sucked.
That's fair enough. Yeah, to be fair, that is a startling realization. I hadn't thought that could be a possibility somewhere down the line.
I mean, I was kind of kidding, but I guess there's potential there. But
dude, can you fucking imagine? Like 5 years down the line, we get like, Call of Duty Cosmic Warfare, and it's just COD in space, and then like Chief drops down in a COD game. It's their universes collide.
Yeah, dude.
I'd shit myself.
Yeah, I probably would as well, but I don't think it would.
I don't think. No, it wouldn't. It's a horrible idea.
It would be awful.
Yeah, it's a horrible idea.
It would truly be garbage.
It's one of the few crossovers that I'm like, don't go near that. Not even for fun. Don't do that.
I'd rather have a crossover of like Gears and Halo. Like Chief just comes in and
that works.
Fucking rips the head off a Locust Queen.
Yeah,
so, that'd be kind of cool, dude.
Yeah, just like how they did the Witcher quest in Monster Hunter, just like that, just like a one fun-off mission.
Yeah.
So I've fallen through a Forerunner portal. Chief doesn't say that, so I don't know why I'm speaking like that. But
it's perfect.
Yeah,
absolutely perfect.
Yeah. Anywho, so obviously, big numbers for Halo, which is great, and obviously, I think the bigger question here is really, what can the retention, how is it going to retain players? And to be honest, I really just get the feeling that lots of stuff is there and planned out and on the roadmap. It's just shit needs to be ironed out, and they're getting on back into like the pattern and schedule. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm really not worried. Especially with those numbers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just think they need to they're obviously in a sort of spot in their development cycle where they're trying to roadmap stuff as well as pump out stuff to keep user attention. So once they figure out that roadmap, and they just need to communicate it with people. And I think just having dates is enough to keep people on the hook as well. It's just not knowing. Like, I've just been in a state of not knowing much about what's going on with Halo for a little while. I mean, there's been some data mine stuff, but you can't. That's not from the developers. Someone's cheesed that out the game files. It's different.
Well, yeah, and it's the thing because I think they've been really good and quick. Like there's usually a blog post every week, but it's usually something small. Like this is the primary, like we know BTB is still broken. Yeah, we're gonna fix that. We know we're addressing the store next week. So there's usually something on a weekly basis. But yeah, in terms of like the bigger questions of like when's the next game mode, when's the next map, when's the balancing, like we don't have answers to those questions yet. We know it's coming, we just don't have answers yet. So yeah, totally with you. I guess I don't know if we speak about this now or later. No, I think we speak about this later. So that's fine. I think we're probably done with Halo. Other than the fact that by the time you're watching this, the trailer for the Halo TV show has likely aired. So hopefully, future me can look back at me and say, "Go me," because that looks good. Because the teasers and the snippets look really high budget, like surprisingly high budget.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, and I hadn't realized that the guy who's playing Chief. What's his name? He's like Pablo Trier, I think is his name. He's one of the guys who used to be in Orange is the New Black, and he was actually really good in that. I didn't realize that was him. So my hype level kind of went up a little bit after that. But also it's on Paramount Plus, and what the fuck is Paramount Plus? So
it's just another subscription service, dude. I have enough direct debits. I don't need another one.
Yeah,
I lose track, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Okay, I guess I really just briefly wanted. We have spoken about this before, but I just wanted to quickly touch on Dying Light 2 because that is coming out this week, and I think we are kind of cautiously excited.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we'll be playing unless it's a bomb, like I'm talking sub 75 bomb. Then I think we're probably going to be playing it and talking about it anyway. So hopefully we'll be able to speak about that a bit more next week.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It looks good, man. I have high hopes for it. Like you said, I'm cautiously optimistic. It's for anyone who's watched our previous episodes, it's definitely, again, it's right up our alley, being a 4-player co-op sort of open world game that you can kind of muck around in and kind of take serious at the same time, depending on what mood you're in. And we love the first one. I'm sure we spoke about this on previous episodes, but and it just looks pretty good from what they've shown. But then they haven't showed too much at the same time too. So it's kind of hard to say. We spoke about this earlier today as well. We're interested to see how the review embargo is going to go down. Because obviously that's a good indication on, someone's confidence in their game. So we'll have to see if that's sort of, because I mean, generally, it's releasing on Friday, so generally, I think reviews tend to come in a few days before the release, don't they? So you like to see some roll in Monday, Tuesday, potentially Wednesday or something, and then obviously, if there is a review embargo, then we won't see anything until Friday. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I know another game that's obviously taken up a lot of the conversation at the moment is Horizon, which I think comes out. Yeah. Is that coming out like tomorrow? Or like Monday, Tuesday?
I thought it was late Feb, but is it early Feb? Is it definitely early Feb?
I mean, maybe I have made a mistake here. Maybe I assume this was like.
I'll be able to get it. Just carry on talking.
Yeah. Okay.
18.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, like mid. Okay, fair enough. I thought this was like in the next like week. So okay, fair enough. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're entering the God month, the God month of February. Yeah. Dude. With Dying Light and Horizon, and then Elden Ring at the end.
Elden Ring. Oh, I'm still so hyped for that game.
Goodness gracious.
But yeah. So we'll hopefully be able to talk to you guys a little bit about Dying Light. And hopefully it'll be good because I think the first one was cool, and I'd hate to see just a sequel just die. Because let's be real. Long. Exactly. Let's be real. If a sequel comes out, it's had this much time in the oven, this much development time and resource and all that, and then it doesn't review well and it potentially doesn't sell well, you're never going to see a Dying Light 3 ever again. So
he's gone.
Yeah, it's just gone at that point. So it would be nice to see it do all right for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And here's another game. Not that it's not releasing, but has been talked about, and that's Crisis 4. The announcement of Crisis 4.
Okay.
Insert high demanding game computer melting joke here. There's been a lot of talk about Crisis 4. I can't wait to not be able to play it because historically the other Crisis have looked really good for their time and been very demanding on PCs.
Hmm.
And consoles.
I've never played a Crisis.
Me neither, man. Me neither.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like a futuristic like shooter, isn't it?
I
Like
think so.
aliens and cyborgs and shit. I think.
Is it aliens? I don't think. I think it was like. I think it
there's-
was. I thought it was like a political, like drama. I thought.
What, similar to like Killzone?
Yeah, I think so.
Wait, is Killzone aliens?
I don't know.
Everything has aliens these days.
Man.
Yeah,
Alien
so,
politics.
but I've heard the other ones are pretty good. So, but I mean, they've always been like PC, PlayStation exclusive, haven't they? The previous Crises. I don't think have we had them on Xbox.
Yeah, we've had them. Yeah, we've had them.
Oh god, they've just been buried under my nose. Then I could have sworn they just didn't release on Xbox, but okay.
Yeah, well, it's yeah, I think to my knowledge, they've gotten worse as they've gone on. There's obviously been 3. The first one, just looking at it now, has a Metacritic of 91, which released in 2007,
Damn.
which is obviously a bloody good score for a first-person shooter campaign. So that's why it's such a well-known franchise. But since then, I think they've been kind of middling 70s. And then obviously the trilogy came out like a few months ago, didn't it? Do you remember they did the trilogy? And that I don't think that reviewed well, where they bundled them through together with very slight, up-res or whatever. So I guess it's just let's fucking reboot it. And this is another one of those games that we keep talking about, where they keep doing like a remaster or like a small like a collection trilogy before releasing a sequel. Testing the market again.
Yeah,
it keeps happening. It's happening so much at the moment.
Well, clearly it didn't really work out that well, at least critically. I don't know how well it sold.
Well, exactly. I just think they just wanted to see like interest, like generally. Like I don't think they really cared if it was. Well, clearly they didn't care if it was critically well received.
Just pumped out with minimal upgrades. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that happens as well. Along with sort of Dying Light 2, which we'll touch on more next week. Games with Gold was announced. It was shit. Not even going to name what's in it because it was so shit.
I swear I haven't seen a decent Games with Gold for. In all honesty,
I didn't even check
for a long time. I just thought Games Pass just completely just revoked Games with Gold. I thought it didn't exist anymore when Games Pass came out. I thought it kind of just absorbed it. And then I was just like, I remember seeing like an article and they were like, this month's Games with Gold. And I was like, huh? Still a thing? I was like, we have Games Pass. Why is this still a thing?
Yeah.
But
yeah. It's just weird. Like some people say that if anything, it just does damage to the brand more than actually helps because it pops up and everybody goes, what is this? Like, I'm not going to play this, even if it's free. You couldn't give it to me for free. Yeah, but I think it's probably one of those things that I don't think anybody would be sad if they folded it and they're like, we're not going to do that anymore. We're having a little more of a deep thought about where Xbox Live Gold's place is in the system because, there's been lots of talks about a tiered Games Pass approach and obviously Ultimate folds Gold in and whether Gold is going to get folded together all or not and just have like a free-to-play service and bump Games Pass prices up instead. So, I don't know. But I reckon that's probably why they're worried that if they take Games with Gold away, it reduces the value of Xbox Live Gold, which some people are happy to pay for without getting Games Pass. Even though Games Pass is 25 mil strong, like as good as it is, I'm sure there are some people out there who won't sue and won't want, and I think they're worried about alienating that side of the market.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh god. All right. So I mean, here comes the big boy. The big boy that really is kicking off the February festival, even though it didn't really come out in February, which is Pokemon. Pokemon Arceus came out this week, and I mean, yeah, well, there it is. For anybody who's listening and not watching, that Tim just pushed it.
Just put it up to the camera.
To the camera. Yeah. So, and I mean, I think I think most people have been pleasantly surprised by the sounds of it that this is a formula that looks like it works. It looks like a really
Yeah.
good formula that's not perfect but works, and it's a really nice evolution of the series. And I'm honestly pretty happy to hear that. I've still heard
Mm.
there, for example, complaints about difficulty. I've still heard there's complaints about like other bits and bobs as well. And obviously the graphics is kind of, the look of it is its own conversation. But yeah, what do you think, man? You've played it a little bit. You've probably looked on this more than I have. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've sunk in probably only a couple hours, to be honest, maybe a few at most. I wouldn't say it's absolutely gripped me so far, but I would agree with the fact that it's a good skeleton for what's to come. I think it's a good foundation to build up on, because Pokemon has been really, really stale for a long time. And I've kind of only just bought them because I just grew up with them as a child, so I've just always had a soft spot for Pokemon games, so I do still tend to buy them. Um, and yeah, I mean, I feel like this one does a lot of what other ones do, but just improves in a lot of ways, especially the RPG aspect, the exploration aspect, and just the whole feel of it kind of makes it feel more like a world. And like these, but Pokemon's always gone for this. You're in a world and these creatures inhabit it, and you're just like with them. But like, I feel like this is the first game that's actually just encapsulated that perfectly. The fact
Mm.
that, this is a world with them, and you're still studying them. You're still figuring them out and what they are and stuff like that. Um, and I think it's a really cool foundation. And yes, it is jank. Um, the beginning of the game is somewhat unbearable. I mean, Nintendo games have a habit of holding your hand a lot, and I get that this one is shaking up the formula a lot. But I shit you not, where pretty much 95% of my total 3 hours on it has been tutorial so far.
Oh no.
Um, it is a very slow start to the game. So much talking, so much throw a Pokeball at this fucking thing, so much just, I don't know, man.
Yeah. And it's like, I know
Yeah.
how this shit works. I understand the basics of
Yeah,
Pokemon.
exactly. But like it does shake it up to an extent, but I would I don't know. They have to cater for the people who have one never played a Pokemon game, or one are young enough that they need to they need to know how it works because they're kids. And it's a shake up to the formula, so I understand why it's there. But for someone like me, yeah, it was kind of unbearable. I'm not gonna
Mm,
lie.
mm.
So very, very slow start, but I'm sure it's going to get better. And yeah, man, it just feels cool. Yeah, it feels cool just to like run around and um, just sort of like observe them all in the wild and catch them. And then you got like passive ones and nice ones, aggressive ones that really shake it up. The battle, they've changed up the battling slightly as well. Like you got styles as you like hit things now,
Yeah, I saw that.
and stuff like that. So that's a nice addition. Um, it can make things a little bit more tactical to an extent rather than um, your standard just four moves, super effective or not sort of thing. Um, so yeah, overall I like it, and I think it's something they can only improve upon. So
Yeah. Good. Good. I'm glad to
yeah,
hear it. It's good to hear some excitement around that IP again, because it's been a bit of a downer. Not unsimilar to like I think about like Halo, really. And how the conversation has now changed around like to a mostly a positive place. And like with both of them, a lot of people say they're not perfect games, but they're very good in what they're trying to do and trying to reinvent the wheel and make it a good sort of spiritual step forward. Kind of
yeah,
trying to retain what made the IP important to people, but also giving it something fresh. So it's we're not like rehashing the same stuff over and over again. So
yeah.
yeah,
I
I'm.
just feel like I mean, Nintendo pride themselves on their polish for their games and stuff like that. This obviously isn't one of those, but for future ones, I think you can polish it not only in a way of graphics and stuff like that, but like just the overall experience. Like, I wouldn't mind if I could just boot up a game like this and just have a little questionnaire. Just be like, you played Pokemon before? Yeah. You know, do you like, do you want, how difficult do you like your games? All that sort of stuff. And then it just recommends different settings and gives you like a hard mode option or something like that, because this is an RPG after all.
Yeah.
Just something that can actually tailor the game for you depending on who's playing it. Because right now it's kind of just like, this is kind of a kid's game, but nostalgic adults can play it if they can bear it.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. They need to cater for the other audience as well, and I don't think it's too hard to slap a hard mode on. Make trainer levels always scale 1 or 2 levels above you, so you go into a fight even though you're 18, and that trainer will always have 20 or something like that, just to make it a little bit harder, and you have to be more aware of your type effectiveness, all that sort of stuff. I can't imagine that's too difficult to do, but
I think that kind of does summarize, I think, the problem that a lot of people have had with Pokemon is that I feel like who is it that made, is Game Freak? Has Game Freak made these? Yeah, Game Freak don't seem to be aware of the fact that the people who played Pokemon back in the 90s and loved it and fell in love with it, 90s, early 2000s, have grown up now.
Yeah.
So if anything, you should be going in the other direction to make it more challenging, or at least making it accessible. Like if you are going to keep the skill floor so low, and I know there's a lot of complexity in the higher levels I understand that, but a lot of the complaints will be like Pokemon's too easy, and it's part of that is because these people have grown up and now have wrinkles in their brains, and we understand how the systems of the game. So yeah, and I think that's what's driven people away a lot of the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, awesome, cool. That's good to hear. And it's settled in at an 84 on OpenCritic now, which is one of our mates picked that, and that's looking pretty solid for him. So good for them.
It's definitely higher than I expected it to go at. I was kind of expecting like 77, 78 or something around that area. High 70s. So
yeah,
nice job.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't counterpick it in the end. I stuck with it. The thing is, my thinking was like, it's a Pokemon game. I always feel Pokemon, like Nintendo games, get over reviewed. Whatever, burn me at the stake. I feel they get over reviewed a little bit. So it's probably going to be a safe to not counterpick, because it's going to get it's going to get points regardless. But
yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Speaking of fucking being a bitchy little fanboy. This is a funny thing. This is a funny old thing. So Greenie, Aaron Greenberg, director of marketing over at Xbox, the bald guy.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, people have been pretty pissy with him in the past because he's says things on Twitter and people go, that's not true. Typically he's been blamed for overhyping events and stuff like that. But he's been really well behaved for the last few years in setting expectations and being that guy. Anyway, he's very vocal. He very much loves. You can tell he loves the brand and he loves his job, and there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, he after the acquisition, he changed his fucking Twitter profile picture to him and Crash Bandicoot both doing the whole arms in an X thing, crossing.
Yikes.
And it drove people mild. It drove people
mild.
I wish it drove people mild. That would be great. And we wouldn't have to talk about it then. Yeah. And it's I don't know if he's a hyper cerebral troll, or if I don't know, because it's it really isn't a big deal. But I think once you start to put it into the context of Twitter, people are like, I can't believe you're fucking, rubbing this in our face that Crash is now, we're never going to play Crash again. And he's just dude, I just wanted to make a profile picture next to Crash Bandicoot, So
yeah, there is an element of that, but then Crash Bandicoot does have a shit-eating grin on his face. It does kind of feel like a slap.
He does. He's so smug, isn't he?
Know. Yeah, he's such a little shit. He's like, I'm a sellout. Basically, that's Crash right now.
I go where the money is.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously it's stupid. It's as with most Twitter beef and gamer beef in general, it's fucking stupid. It's a lot of it is. The guy's just, it's a big acquisition. It's a big deal. He's happy about it, and fucking what's the big deal, man?
I mean, look at some of these comments, for example.
Let him sit next to Crash.
Yeah, some of these comments in response to the profile picture change was, damn, how can Xbox P3, Phil Spencer, agree with this? This is something really rude and gives bad feedback to Xbox. People like this should work at this level. Just my opinion. Don't know really know what it meant, but it didn't sound happy. Xbox has some very good people, although I make jokes and really respect the intellect of its leaders. But this guy, I can never stand the way he talks and his attitude. Unprofessional. Console warrior. Marketing for bots.
Huge. What is this one? You never catch. What does this say? Hang on. Let me do a zoom ski.
Yeah, I did a zoom ski. Yeah.
Let me do this one. You never catch YSOP posing next to Darth Revan. Microsoft's business has no dignity, man. No respect either.
Like, how is the Old Republic character? Yeah.
Oh, okay. But like, this isn't. I don't think this is a hey fuck you kind of.
Yeah,
move.
it's not. Is it? It's not personal.
Yeah, like, man, people are so fucked.
It's like these people have been personally messaged by Aaron Greenberg, like, we're going to fucking make Crash Bandicoot exclusive. Do you like Call of Duty? Yeah. Too bad. Give it 3 years. You're not playing another one.
It's not like we DM'd them all a link to the Microsoft store to buy an Xbox and just put, if you want to play Crash, you better add this to your cart. It's not like we did anything like that. So
yeah, exactly. So
people just need to fucking
take it so personally.
Yeah, people need to chill out a little bit.
This is why I will never buy an Xbox. I don't want to be part of the Xbox community. Sick, bro. Sucks to be you.
Yeah, we're a terrible community. He is right.
Yeah, no, we are. And if you scroll down to the notes below, you'll see that because this triggered so many people, everyone made this their profile picture. Everybody just edited their head on top of Aaron Greenberg. And then next to Crash doing that with a shit-eating grin. So
someone did the Joker. That's quite funny.
Yeah. Just one of them's just a chief helmet. One of them's just Cortana. He goes on and on.
That's pretty great, dude.
Hopefully, I think this
some good names.
It does. It absolutely does. And this isn't. Unfortunately, this isn't the only Twitter outrage story for the week. The second one is a popular. Should I say, a popular PlayStation fan, mouthy, loud, directly tweeting President Biden to block the acquisition of Activision Blizzard.
What? No.
I'm dead serious, dude.
He asked if Biden could stop Microsoft buying Activision.
Mr. President, please look into Microsoft's $70 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Microsoft has been getting away with antitrust for decades now because of their money and power. It's time to stop them.
Mate, I'm sure the first thing Biden did was shut his laptop, get on a train, get over to Microsoft headquarters. What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
I heard you bought Activision Blizzard.
Which one of you pricks took a profile picture next to Crash Bandicoot? Who did that?
Yeah.
I'm blocking this.
Storming through the office. It was you! I recognise it.
Yeah.
You shit-eating grin. Just fucking throws his coffee on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean...
It's, again...
Sometimes you got to pull in the big guns.
It's not... I, President Biden, I'm from the Pony Nation, and I have to block this deal. I just have to. Man, just stop taking this so fucking personally, dude.
Yeah, I mean that's just stupid, and I like to think it's a joke, but it probably isn't.
No, it's not. It's not a joke. There was this user was defending themselves, further down. They were like, no, it's a monopoly consolidation, and fuck off.
As if Biden probably doesn't even know there's a gaming industry.
Yeah, he's like, yes, games? I played Pong.
Yeah, what are these video games you speak of?
Yeah.
Microsoft.
A cross box? Ah, yes, a cross box. A box purely for pornography.
I was not interested unless it's Russia's involved, so we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, wicked. Well, we did have a bit of a, sort of speaking of fucking stuff happening with Activision, Blizzard, and exclusivity and stuff that makes fanboys angry. We had a bit of an update from Bloomberg about what's kind of, the whole status of Call of Duty and the possible exclusivity that's going to happen there. Whether it will or won't it, that whole thing. So, quote, again from Dration Schreier at Bloomberg, quote, Activision is committed to releasing at least the next 3 Call of Duty games on PlayStation, even after the Xbox acquisition. According to people familiar with the deal, that's COD 22, COD 2023, and Warzone 2 in 2023. After that, it's hazier. So, contracts, there's already dry ink for these next games. But after that, it's a bit hazier. And this is what I keep saying. I think they are going to go exclusive. I just don't think it'll be anytime soon.
Yeah, this is what we said in the last episode. And yeah, this has kind of made that a bit more concrete. Yeah, it's kind of as you predicted more. I didn't think it'd be maybe the next 3, but it's pretty much as you predicted. Yeah. No real surprise here.
I think as well, that's like, if that is what's going to happen, because like that, that is still a tectonic move, because it comes back to that whole thing of like, Minecraft is kept multi-platform because it's just so big and it just isn't worth like losing assets and money like by making and that whole argument, that same thing. But I think if there is going to be 5 years until we see the possibility of an exclusive Call of Duty, that gives PlayStation enough time to spin up a Call of Duty competitor as to maybe not lose that market share. They poach people from Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Respawn, bang, they've got a first-person team, and they make a exclusive first-person
time
shooter.
Splitters.
Yeah, whatever, man. And yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them do that to like stop, people bleeding, or maybe transferring into buying an Xbox. So
that's what they're gonna do. They're literally just like Microsoft or Activision. They literally just get out like an old fucking folder with like an X on it, and they're literally just like blow the dust off.
Yeah,
it's time to get out time splitters.
Out the big guns. Yeah,
the time has come. The end is nigh.
Yeah. So yeah, and allegedly this whole thing isn't really related to the timing of the acquisition. That's just how it is. Like the contracts have just been signed up till like 2023 or 2024 time. But yeah. So we will see. But that's the current status, which is honestly, I think, quite good. For the short to the midterm, even nobody has to worry about COD going anywhere, which is like really, really no big deal for anyone.
Yeah, the world won't riot yet.
Yeah, exactly. We will live for at least 3 more years before bricks start coming through our windows for having an Xbox podcast.
Exactly. The one thing I say is just enjoy these 3 years.
Yeah.
Maybe move somewhere a bit more remote, somewhere you can't be tracked.
Yeah.
And then you'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe install like a security camera, maybe get a guard dog.
Maybe have full lockdown measures on your windows and doors.
A panic room, perhaps. Yeah. So do all of that. And this is really interesting. I said this in the intro, but a lot of people have mentioned this on their podcast now. People who actually have information, unlike me. So we just talk about it. But Jeffy Grubb and also now Jess Corden over on the Xbox 2 podcast have now mentioned this. The idea that there is another game that is getting the Master Chief Collection treatment. We don't know what that game is, but obviously it'll be an Xbox game. What do you think? What would be the best thing for you here, and what would you speculate?
Quake.
You don't mean that. You don't mean that.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, so something's getting the Master Chief. Probably Gears, right?
Yeah, I mean, Gears is one of the things that's definitely in the conversation.
I mean, that's the first one that comes to my mind. I mean, what instantly sprung to your mind when this was mentioned?
Gears came straight to my mind. The other one was Fable.
Oh yeah. I think that's a good point. Yeah.
I think it's got to be one of those two, and I guess I'm more leaning towards Fable, partly because I would rather it be Fable, and I'd love to see like a proper remake on one of them. I don't think they would, but I would love to see that. And I think it would be nice. It would be a nice way for them to get people talking about Fable again, perhaps before a gameplay reveal, maybe this year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then they announce it for Holiday 23.
It's that whole like we said with the pumping out like a collection to sort of see how the market reacts to it. It kind of fits for Fable, right? And if I were like any game to actually have a proper remake treatment, it'd probably be Fable 2. But that would also be kind of weird to just be like, we're taking the second out of the 3 franchise, but Fable 2 was the best, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I think it is interesting because I think the other thing is about Gears is that it would be weird to do a like Marcus Phoenix collection or whatever you would call it, the Phoenixes. Now, when they're a couple years off making the ending to this trilogy, I just feel like it'd be weird to do it now. And I know you could make the argument that Master Chief Collection did the same for Halo 4. Like Halo 5 is not part of Master Chief Collection still. They added ODST and they added Reach, but they haven't.
I think they just want to. I think they want to just try and forget Halo 5 campaign. They're like, Halo what? It's like Voldemort in The Office. They're like, don't say it. Don't say its name. No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't.
No, but it fucked the story. Like it did fuck the story. I will stand by that. Like it fucked all of that up. Like
it really
ridiculous. Like, and you can like, I've spoken about it before, but man, when you play through Infinite, you can still feel the ripples of it. You're like, why? Why has this happened? And you're like, because someone has to make a dumb decision, and you're like, I guess you have to do that because that thing happened, but fuck, this whole thing is stupid. Like, so there are some parts of it which still drag down the story in Infinite, but Jesus Christ, yeah. So, yeah, that would be, I think, the other angle of it is that, I think it would be weird for them to do it. I think it'd be weird for them to have like Gears 1 through to 5, because that would also be a really big undertaking because it's 5 games.
Yeah, it's insane.
Just before they release the end of the trilogy, rather than like wait until the Gears 6 is done and then do bang, like 6 games, like maybe a year or two after that.
Potentially, yeah.
Counter.
Oh, go.
Gears of War multiplayer population. Not good.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
You know what MCC does really well? Pulls all the players together. And you can do that checkbox thing where you pick on your mode in the games you want to play. Do that for Gears. Mm-hmm. Even just an easy quick play button. All of a sudden, like you pick up the the dregs of the Gears 1 Ultimate Edition players that love that game. Whatever's left of Gears 2, those playing Gears 3, 4, 5, and they're all together in it, and it boosts that population. So there's an argument to be made for like the multiplayer side of like that strategically, as well.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. I still think, based on everything we put on the table, I think the more likely one to see is probably Fable. If I were a betting man, I'd probably say it's Fable. But yes, I could definitely see it being Gears. Gears just popped into my mind because for whatever reason, it's just, I don't know. That just
makes sense.
When someone says Xbox, I just think Gears Halo. It's like a reaction. It's like a tick. Yeah. But I'd say it's more likely to be Fable, which is dope. I would like to play them again, even if they are just like little small enhancements.
Yeah, me too, man.
I mean, they gave the first one a pretty nice remaster treatment not that long ago, didn't they?
It was
Fable
quite long ago.
Anniversary Edition.
It was quite long ago.
Yeah, it was quite long ago, but they technically did it.
They did.
They technically remastered it.
But it does feel like shit. Like, it does.
I tried. It looks like shit too. It's not a remake; it's a remaster. It still looks like garbage.
Yeah, sure. But I guess like if they, whatever. If they were going to do it, I would like to see like more than that. Otherwise, it's like you're basically just taking 3 games and putting them into to like reset it back to me. I know it'd probably be Games Pass, but that's the thing. I think with Gears, it would be. I don't know. I guess I feel like Gears, they could get away with a lower effort bundling of all the games simply because it comes with the advantage of having the coagulated like population.
Hear me out here. I'm going to throw in a wild card.
God, I don't like that you paused before you said it. Okay.
I'm going to predict, and I'm going to put my professional reputation on the line here.
Jesus.
And I'm going to say we're going to get a Lost Planet collection.
A Lost Planet collection.
Yeah, dude. Lost Planet. 1, 2, and 3, baby. And then they're
Was there
going to be
3?
like, here's 4. Yeah, there were 3. Yeah.
Were there? Were they all exclusives?
Yeah.
Were they? How did that work?
I'm pretty sure they were all exclusives. Yeah.
They were weird games, weren't they?
Dude, if I'm right with that, someone needs to give me like a fucking Medal of Honor or something.
Yeah, if you are right with that, I will trim the clip of you saying it, and I will pay Google AdSense like 500 quid and like plaster it everywhere, so you can be the one true prophecy, the Xbox prophecy.
For whatever reason, Lost Planet has popped into my brain quite a few times over the last like 3 months, and I don't know why. I can't remember who we had this discussion with, but I was just like, if they could like reboot and just like make from ground up with today's technology and like the new Xboxes and stuff like that, I was like, Lost Planet could be fucking dope. Like, there's some really cool ideas in there, and like the scale of like all the monsters and, you know, the keeping warm on this fucking freezing planet, all that kind of shit. That was so cool to me. So
it was.
I
It was. Really
I always had a soft spot for that franchise.
Yeah, and it looked really good for its time as well. And it was. I remember it being quite convoluted, like because wasn't it made by like it was Capcom, so like typically JRPG territory, but it was like very much like let's like go for the Western market. But I'm definitely in agreement with you. It was quite an exciting IP, I think.
Yeah, for sure, man. But yeah, I mean, that's just a meme. No one take me seriously for that. But it's still on the record, so if it ever happens, I want to be taken seriously. But don't unless it happens.
Which is the best way to... Yeah, it's the best way to negotiate.
Yeah.
If I'm right,
exactly.
You know, great. If I'm wrong, forget.
Yeah, exactly. It's a win-win in my eyes. I don't know why people don't do it more often.
That's how we do business here on the QRP. That's why we're always fucking winning. Okay, great. It's Lost Planet Master Chief Collection incoming. What about like a Forza? Would a Forza like be a thing?
That's too wild, though. That's way too wild. More likely to have Lost Planet.
Yeah, I may be pushing the bow out a little bit.
Banjo-Kazooie?
I think it would have to be an X. I mean,
Crash with the new acquisition.
No, surely not. No, they just did that. They just did that.
It's too quick.
Yeah,
it's too quick. Plus, it's too quick a turnover. But yeah, it could be Banjo.
What did you say before?
It could be Banjo-Kazooie.
You know, I don't actually think that's impossible. I think it's kind of weird because obviously it just went to Switch. Like, I don't think it's impossible that they did like a Xbox exclusive Banjo 3. Like, again, test the market. Can we make a new Banjo? And it would have Banjo 1, Banjo 2, and nuts and bolts.
Yeah, dude.
That's stupid. That actually makes a bit too much sense. So I don't really want to talk about that anymore. Because it makes sense, but like I reckon like someone out there knows something that I don't know and is thinking, these two are like fucking stupid.
Yeah. I got it just mate, no, we know too much. There's gonna be like a laser dot on this.
Yeah.
Huh?
What was that? Was that your silencer noise, was it?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Can you do it again? What the fuck? It's amazing.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. That's so good.
Thanks, man.
For a second, I actually thought there was a silent gun going off in your room.
Oh, no, it did. Seriously, can we wrap this up? I'm actually bleeding out.
Yeah. My vital organs seem to have been punctured.
Oh.
Good from there. Okay, well, this is exciting. I'm sure you saw all about this, about Respawn and the big boy moves they're making in the industry. Yeah? 3 new Star Wars
3
games.
of them.
Yeah. With Lucasfilms
cool,
and EA, which is, you know, and we spoke about this sometime last year that, you know, EA's stranglehold on Star Wars is finally over. You know, they made like 2 Star Wars games in the entire time that they had that, which was like, but I guess 3 if you include Fallen Order, but I think that happened right towards the end of the 10-year, I think it was 10-year agreement they had with Disney to just have Star Wars license. And, you know, we know there's a lot happening with Star Wars now. Knights of the Old Republic is going off to PlayStation. We know that Ubisoft are doing like an open
Lego.
world. Yeah, the Lego
Lego game coming out.
Skywalker, so they're doing their own thing over there. We know that Ubisoft are doing like an open world Star Wars type game, so Ubisoft is doing their own thing. And now Respawn have been given loads to do as well, including what I think was a strategy game, a first-person shooter, and obviously a follow-up to Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay, yeah, that was my next question. I was just like, are they all going to be like Fallen Order like sequels or like that style of game? But okay, you just
scroll down. Yeah, if you scroll down, you'll see notes there. But yeah, I think I think is even though Fallen Order was fucking banging, and I'm excited for a second one. It's actually quick appreciation. I mean, I've sucked off Respawn enough on this podcast enough before, but it's really impressive that they managed to go like they're a studio who just do first person shooters, and then managed to crank out Fallen Order with that talented. Much quality. Like that's crazy, and that's kind of what I think about. Of like, I hope Playground can do that for like Forza and Fable, because I know it's like largely a different team. Like they have two teams. It's not like fucking the person who designs cars is now designing. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like largely that they're separate teams, and I'm sure same here. It still falls under the same umbrella. But like that's crazy, man. That's just mad talent.
It just goes to show just how talented they are and how versatile they can be in their game developments, because they could not be any more different like from the normal games they make, and it was a fucking banger. And it's pretty crazy to think it was these people that left from like Infinity Ward to make Respawn, wasn't it?
That's right.
It's crazy to think that these guys were just fucking stuck making COD. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, no wonder why they left. They were like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Have you seen this guy's concept for a Jedi game?
Yeah, I want to make a Star Wars game.
Out.
Yeah. And, I think out of all of this, where I was going is that as much as excited as I am for a Fallen Order 2, they will definitely play it. I am pretty excited for them to make another FPS game. Okay, we're not getting a Titanfall 3 anytime soon. That's the other side to this. That's not happening anytime this decade. It
kind of blows.
Yeah. But we are going to get a Star Wars FPS, and that's very interesting. I think that's very interesting. Like, what does that mean? Am I going to be a fucking... Imagine if you were a Jedi that doesn't use a fucking lightsaber, but you use a light gun. Eh? Non-canon, don't care. You just fire...
A light gun, isn't that just They already exist. They just shoot lasers, like...
Yeah, well, but like a cool one. Like a Jedi one,
This is why you're not a developer.
This is a cool idea. Because like, what are we talking like? Play Stormtrooper, like Super Rogue, and related to fucking Luke Skywalker's like fetus. It's stupid.
Yeah.
I
mean, but
that's boring.
Yeah, they could definitely do that. I don't really know. It's hard to say, because if they were just like, oh, this Jedi uses guns, everyone would just be like, I'm setting fire to the world.
No, that would be cool.
Like, this Jedi needs to have a lightsaber, or I'm going to shoot up a school. I don't know. People are weird.
I think that sounds really... I guess it's because like the elements of Star Wars that I like is like the mysticism and like the how the powers are like it's like spiritual. Star Wars are like Templars. They're like paladins. If we're talking about like high fantasy like classes, they're like sci-fi versions of paladins. They channel holy power, and the holy power is the Force. And that's it. But like, how can you transfer that into like a first-person shooter environment? That's what I want. I don't just want to be a dude who shoots. I don't want to be just a guy.
Yeah. You don't want to just be like a rebel, like, I don't know, somebody who just joined the rebel like alliance.
Yeah,
and they're just like, you're just a rookie.
Yeah,
and he's just like, well, I'm going AWOL. I'll do this mission myself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the classic shit.
Exactly.
Oh my god, he took the explosives and flew off on a ship, and he's going to do the mission himself. Oh my god, he was successful.
Yeah. But like, think how cool it would be, like, like in Jedi Fallen Order, all of the powers that you have, like the force pull, push, like, flinging people around, whatever. If you had that in a first-person environment with a gun, it'd be like Bulletstorming, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Like push people into spikes, whip them up in the air, gun them down.
Or it could be kind of like
knock them out.
Control, Control-esque as well.
Yeah, controllers.
You could like fly around using your force powers and shoot people in the air.
Yeah, I want that. I want like a hyper mobility Star Wars shooter where I can fucking whip stuff around.
Battle Royale.
That'd be cool. Battle Royale. Sorted. Done. Next question.
Next question.
Next question, yeah. All right. We're done here. Good job, Respawn. Excited for your games.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is actually the news I am most excited about today. And this was something I messaged you about. And this is that Blizzard are making a new game. They're making a new IP. And,
They are.
you know, maybe I just wouldn't have been paying attention, but the question I'm kind of asking myself is, would I have been as excited about this, like, if we weren't in the reality where Activision Blizzard were just acquired? And I think I probably would, but I just wouldn't be paying attention to it. Yeah, but because I'm on the lookout for Blizzard stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of this news and like kind of what it said?
I mean, it's cool, right? We just acquired them. It's nice to see a new IP, something that they haven't tried before. Blizzard haven't made a survival game before, so it's new territory. It's new IP. It's always exciting to see. It's risky, but I like stuff like this. And mate, I'm a fan of survival games. So, and if I know anything, like I said, Blizzard is as much of a rotten apple core as they might have. They do make very polished games. So, and if I can associate anything with survival games, it's that the majority of them are really fucking jank. So if there can be a nice polished one that enters the scene and has a nice like class to it, then fucking sign me up.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. You know, that the central part of this story really being that it's a survival game, and a developer seemed to have accidentally said that it's also going to be first person.
Ooh, so, yeah, that is exciting.
Obviously, so we don't know where we're at in terms of like development and if that could change or whatever. You know, subjects, subjects change. But yeah, and the conversation around survival games is generally like quite damp at the moment. It's survival games tend to be early access, early preview. Oh, it's a good idea. Really buggy. Performs like shit. Oh, we haven't updated it in 6 years. And that's kind of like the general feel of what survival games, and it's been that way for like 10 years now.
Yeah,
I can't even think of the last survival game that I played. Like it's probably Grounded. Fuck me. Grounded's probably the only actually good one.
Yeah, with polish to it. Yeah, I definitely associate that genre with just like unfinished games. Games that just aren't finished and get released early to the public, and I just feel like a beta tester when I play them.
Yeah. Maybe Subnautica's the other one. Subnautica's probably another good example.
Yeah, Subnautica is pretty good, yeah. But again, I still think that was quite buggy, and it was in early access.
It was for ages.
While,
yeah.
But, yeah, so it's not a perfect example.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those games end up never really coming together in a way that it's like, do I really need to be searching for berries every 15 minutes? Is that adding to this gameplay loop, Do I really need to filter my water so it doesn't give me diarrhea for the next the diarrhea debuff for the next hour? It's like, is that really so it never feels like sometimes after years of it being in early access, you just start questioning is this adding anything? Is this actually adding tension or any useful? It was just an annoyance. So that's And I think, when we're not alone in feeling that, I think that is a general feeling in conversation. But I hadn't realised this until I was starting reading reactions to sort of to this, is that people say that Blizzard are really good at taking genres that are oversaturated or haven't quite found their feet and making it really popular for the mainstream and polishing the shit out of it and making it right, you can all play this.
Stop doing that.
What?
You were literally just going polishing the shit out of it. You kept doing it as well.
Sorry, man.
Anyway, I agree.
Yeah. So and the examples of that presumably would be MMOs, World of Warcraft, strategy games, StarCraft. I know they tried that with Heroes of the Storm, and I think maybe I'm assuming that came after League of Legends, so that's probably not applicable.
Mhm.
And Overwatch, like, it literally started the hero shooter. Like, I know some games came to market before it. Yes, I know, like
It's
Battleborn.
No, I was going to say like Team Fortress was before
Right.
that, which was the big hero sort of shooter.
It was, but I know it was big
Started it all.
PC only.
Yeah, but he kind of started it all, and I guess inspired the likes of Overwatch. But regardless, they made a multi-platform, really polished team shooter, one of the first of its kind. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
exactly. I
sure.
think we can probably both agree that Overwatch is on a bigger scale and scope. There's like in,
Yeah,
in,
there's
in Team
lore there,
Fortress,
cool characters, all
they
that sort of
added,
stuff. Yeah,
the amount that they added, and they did all those cinematics to add to the lore and the universe story. Yeah, so that's what they took that and they're like, we're going to make this bigger, better, polished, etc., etc. And then Overwatch is one of the only like multiplayer only game. It might even be the only one. They only have a multiplayer only game to like crack 90s on Metacritic, and that's bonkers. That is absolutely
yeah,
bonkers. So I know we're now at a point in the discourse because Overwatch has been out for ages where like we don't really speak about it in a positive way, but like that game was mental for like 5 years. Like
yeah,
so popular, even for people. I know people who like weren't even really into gaming who managed to come into the first person genre because they liked what Overwatch could offer. Like, I
hmm
can play as fucking Reinhardt and have a shield and smack people with a hammer. And like, then they try Soldier once or twice. They're like, oh, maybe I can shoot people. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, I can actually try this genre now. So it's that's what I kind of mean, I guess. They kind of like refine it so that it's very accessible and enjoyable to a lot of people. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'd like to think with Blizzard's knowledge on games,
And
and
Hearthstone.
the polish
Sorry.
and Hearthstone, and the knowledge they bring to the table and polish and stuff like that, I'd like to think they can look at what all the other survival games have done and, like you said, just iron out, just be like, this is an annoying feature. Let's not have this in our game. We want our game to be a bit more streamlined. We want it to be a bit more, I guess, yeah, less annoying, but still keeping that survival aspect. And I think they have the knowledge and expertise to actually do that. So,
And also, I just think Blizzard universes are very generally quite good. I give them quite a lot of credit. When I look at World of Warcraft, I'm like, I like this. I like what I look at.
yeah,
I see Overwatch, same sort of thing. I say this like, I know a lot of it is based on the the Warcraft universe, but I find it quite enticing, and I think it all looks good.
yeah,
And you look at the concept art here, which you can go onto Blizzard's Twitter and see it yourself. But the concept art that you've got there, if you're hopefully looking at what I'm looking at, it looks cool. It's like it's very fantastical, very green. Like I'm already like interested in kind of what's happening here. So
yeah,
that's kind of, I think, one side of the story. In that Blizzard generally have a very good like precedent of taking these genres and really making them accessible and ready for polished and ready for sort of the mainstream market. The second thing, which is what took me from this is cool to this is exciting, is that everyone is responding to this really positively, like insiders and devs. And just to like summarize
yeah,
it again, Jason Schreier, again from Bloomberg, said, for what it's worth, even some of the most disgruntled Blizzard employees rave about this game and this team.
yeah,
And similar reactions across the board. Mikey Barra, obviously the ex-Xbox exec, who's now part of Xbox again, who's leading Blizzard, says, played many hours of this with the team, incredibly excited about the teams, which of course he would say because he works there, but fine. And ex-devs and people who are partners of devs who have seen or played the game. This is the team I would return to Blizzard for. If everything I've heard about the team and the environment is what they say. Just loads of reactions.
yeah.
Like this, everybody seems really excited about what this is. So that's what kind of makes me like, oh, hello, like you've got my attention, curiosity.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when it's excited, from an internal standpoint, for people who don't even necessarily like work there anymore, but they've seen the project in its in its making process, in its development process, and they're still just like I'm very excited for this, and they might have even left that company. They've left that company on a bad note, and they're still praising it. So that does speak volumes. To be fair,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and then but beyond that, there is the whole conversation of like, I would expect if this really does look that good and look that I'm not going to say revolutionary or evolutionary, whatever. If this does look as solid as people are saying, I would be very surprised if Xbox aren't going to be keen to lock this down. Your PC and because they've announced it for PC and consoles. I feel like that's very specific wording. Most of the time, these things say PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Stadia. They list it and they've kept it vague and said consoles. Which I have to imagine Philly has made a call and be like, this looks shit hot. Please just use the word consoles because I think again depends on time frames. Xbox don't own ActiBliz yet, so if this game is 3 years away, then I think we're probably looking at a brand new like Xbox Blizzard IP that people are going to associate with Xbox. If this game is a year away, well, then we're in muddy territory of like this could get announced before the deal gets properly finished off, and it will be announced as a multiplayer, and Xbox can't do anything to change that now. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting either way. And if it is successful or whatever, there is, still no harm in having it on both platforms to an extent. But yeah, I mean, like you said, the wording is different, the way they said consoles. So
yeah,
you like to hope.
Yeah,
I mean, not hope. I don't want to rip games away from people. That's not what I'm trying to say. But like,
I kind of do hope, just like because like we've been talking about for ages, like Xbox needs new IPs, man, and like the idea of having like a new Blizzard IP that people are this excited about as like an Xbox thing, like I think that's great. And again,
it is a big deal.
Games Pass day one, if it's this, I guess nobody's actually confirmed a bit, but in my head, like survival games tend to like mostly be multiplayer.
Yeah.
I guess there's some where that isn't the case, like Subnautica isn't, and there are some like The Long Dark is another one that comes to mind.
Yeah, but the majority in the space are multiplayer. Yeah, shared worlds.
Right, and it strikes me as they've seen Valheim and been like, "Oh, that's interesting," because Valheim was like in a lot of like Game of the Year conversations this year. Like it was, and that team was made by like 12 people, wasn't it? And the gameplay loop of it was really really fun and interesting, and needs a lot of polish, and the content roadmap is really slow because it's a small team. It strikes me as that they've seen that and gone like, if we can do this, put the amount of scrub and polish on it that we do on Overwatch, and add all of these Blizzard systems and shit on it, then we've got a hit on our hands. And that's obviously like you can play up to 8 people with that. Like that strikes me as like what this is. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and that's something I find very very exciting. So yeah, that's that story.
Yeah.
Next up, money.
Money.
Xbox financial report. Would you believe it? Xbox and Microsoft made a lot of fucking money. Wow.
Oh, really? I know we spent a lot.
Yeah.
I think we would have made it.
That's true. So Xbox reported revenue of $16.28 billion from the 2021 calendar year. So that's Xbox alone. It's not Microsoft, just Xbox, which is the best calendar year on record, beating the previous high of 2020. Total gaming revenue has been up 17.7% year over year. Content and services revenue has been up 8.8% year over year, and hardware revenue is up a whopping 63.3% year over year. Whew, so
fat numbers,
and we ain't even got started yet.
yeah, that's huge, man. It's really positive for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just crazy when you think about this stuff. You think about like 2014, 15 that we now know. There were conversations that were being had about closing the Xbox division. Like, that was a genuine conversation that was being had, and like, not to sound like melodramatic, but that would be pretty devastating. If to me, like obviously, like because we play socially, we would be like, okay, we're probably going to all play PlayStation now, or we'll all invest in PCs, and it'll work. But it wouldn't be ideal, and I feel like there would be something missing there, and there would be like the grass is greener, and the IPs would likely die or get sold off. Gears would be sold off to Ubisoft. Halo would go to anyone. Like, I don't know. EA. So it's just that's all it is. It's just comforting to see like this is working. Like, because we've been talking about this for so long. It's like this is working. The Games Pass thing, the focus on content and games, it's here. The numbers are right here.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious we're heading in the right direction. And with the amount we're investing and we're building our first party studios and stuff like that, it's only looking greener, isn't it? It's only looking better.
Exactly, and that's like we spoke about this. Like, I probably in like one of our first like episodes, I remember saying that I felt that flight sim, which sounds like a really small thing, but like at the time, because we were coming out of the content drought at the end of 2019, like we had fucking nothing in 2019. Moving into 2020, flight sim, which was obviously 9 and 10 out of 10s across the board, was getting ported to Xboxes. Was that 2020? No, that's 2021. So sorry, still last year, because after the release of the consoles, right, of next gen, which was last November. 2021.
Correct.
Oh no, November 2020.
It was November 2020 the consoles came out.
Yeah,
so
that
must have been.
But that still means Flight Sim came out in 2021. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So I remember saying like that felt like cracks in the dam. Like that was going to hit, and it was going to crack the dam. Water's going to start coming through, and then we had things like Gears Tactics, and then towards the end of the year, what else was there? There was some other stuff, like not just Games Pass hits, but some other stuff that I'm really struggling to put my finger on right now. Nonetheless, my point is, we're still at that point where I feel like the dam's cracks are like widening. We've had Halo, we've got obviously Starfield at the end of this year, Redfall, and other stuff. Those cracks are widening, but 2023 is when that dam breaks, and we have this, we have that kind of cadence that Xbox has been so excited about for ages, of having this like quarterly AAA game, first party game. That's what they want. That's the goal, with like smaller stuff littered throughout. And once they get to that, like that's crazy, man. To always be 3 months away from the next big Xbox release. The podcast is going to be 6 hours long.
Yeah, it's almost kind of overwhelming.
It's daunting.
I don't know if I'll have enough time to play games.
We'll have to play all of them. We need to review all of them.
I know, Nick. I'm going to have to quit my day job. No.
Oh, Lord save me.
Damn. It's a hard world we live in.
Yeah, truly. Yeah, so that's, the finances, I'm sure none of us are surprised Xbox is doing well, but there's an upward trend that is accelerating, and I think that is only going to, well, hopefully barring any major fuck-ups and landing good scores on these critical releases, this is just going to keep going upwards. So yay. And then Xbox can acquire me. Big thumbs up.
No, just you. What about me? You fucking snake.
Do you want to be a sellout? Do you want to be a sellout?
I want to be a sellout with you. Yeah,
I can't speak for you. Okay, let's do it, man. Acquire us, then we can be acquired.
Oh yeah, I can't speak for you. Fucking that card. You just forgot about me.
I did not. Anyway,
moving on.
There has been quite a funny old thing going on in the UK, in our old United Kingdom, our side of the pond, where the government have been investigating auto renewal, and they've been like, you know what? This is a bit cheeky, isn't it? This is a bit fucking cheeky, because people just keep getting charged, and they don't want that. And I think mostly this is an old person thing. Like, I think that's like genuinely actually quite exploitative. Because we don't really have an excuse. Sometimes we just get lazy. Nonetheless, companies are shitty with this, in that they try and hide, the cancel renewal button, or they're like, we'll send you an email when it gets close to the time, and then like they don't, or it gets buried, or it's just
oops, it went to junk.
Yeah,
but all of our other marketing emails didn't.
Yeah. We'll take your money though. Yeah. So anyway, that has prompted Xbox to. I think it's currently a conversation that's being had. I don't know if it's actually been put. It sounds like it's been kind of put in stone, but I don't know. Is that renewals will be cancelled if they're no longer in use, and inactive Games Pass users, those will just be cancelled by themselves.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, I just thought this was really interesting because obviously as we're moving into the age of subscriptions, it's one of those things where Xbox wants to be a cut above everyone else, and like it could be convenient and to not have horror stories where people are like, oh, they charge me another £30 for the annual thing, and now I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. When you sign up and you buy these things, it is there. It is quite obvious that it's just like, this is a recurring monthly charge. You know what you're signing up for. You know, if you're an adult, you should be aware that if you click this confirm button, £15 is being taken out of your account every month. And I don't know, it's not hard for us just to note these things down if we want to cancel it and what we have going. I don't see a huge issue with it. But yeah, I guess it's nice that Xbox is trying to be clean about it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can't like tell me that you don't feel that some companies really ride the line in like making it hard for you to stop, or like will be like perfectly fine with you missing like the email or whatever. Like, and I just feel like that's not okay.
There's definitely more ethical ways you can approach it, for sure. And sometimes cancelling shit is such a ball ache. It's unreal.
Are you sure?
Yeah, and that's because I'll offer you 10% off.
Yeah, look at our catalogue of content. Yeah, fuck off.
And that's mainly because they are aware of the current generation and how lazy people are as well. So it is kind of how we've grown up.
Yeah,
as well. Like, I know for a fact I have at least a couple, if not more, monthly subscriptions that I could cancel. I don't use, but they just take money from me, dude.
That must be nice.
But I know it's my fault. Like, I should go in and cancel it. But yeah, I know what you mean. And I think all in all, the whole auto renewal thing, I think it does need cleaning up for sure.
Yeah, and as I say, this does feel like a thing which is really targeted at. Like, the demographic which is struggling the most with this is older people. And if Xbox want to be accessible to older people, some older people will see that and they'll be like, subscriptions, what is a subscription? Back in my day, we bought box and inbox was product. But now it's like, well, now you pay and you get that streamed to you, granddad. And like, if they want to be able to do that, then they need to make that easy for that demographic to look at it and be like, oh, so if I'm not using it, it will just cancel by itself. All right, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So that's I think the main angle here.
Yeah, it is nice for sure. Yeah.
Have you been experiencing slow a dashboard
brain function? Oh,
yeah,
dashboard.
Has your brain dribbled out your nose? Go to a hospital. Have you experienced fucking slow dashboards? The guide coming out on your Xbox Series X. Apparently this is an actual bug. Me and Tim have spoke about this off air.
It sucks.
It's been fucking frustrating for a while, and I thought it was an alpha ring thing, being an insider, but I left that and it still happened, and it's god damn, it's irritating, really irritating. Like, sometimes I'm waiting up to like 7-8 seconds for the guide to pop open. I'm like, do I not have the power in my console? Like, what's going on? So apparently this is a legitimate bug. I just wanted to like note this down because to me this is important. If it doesn't, if it's not obvious, it's quite annoying. That's something which is now being tested in insider rings, and hopefully soon that'll be back to normal, where it opens really easily and closes nice and quick and responsive. So I'm not playing Halo and tried to take a quick clip, but now I've respawned again and I've been killed again before the guide has even come up,
Yeah, it really fucking sucks. It does suck. And it's like, it kind of gets to the point where you're like, is it frozen? And then you start smashing buttons and then it just makes it worse. Yeah, like, you're just like, what is this? It's awful, man. It sounds like a nitpick, but it really is kind of a big deal, especially when this guide is supposed to just slide open and be like this easy, accessible. Flick between games, go record something, check a message, check who's online, and it's just the exact opposite of that right now. It's just you click it, you go make a fucking tea, and then you can see who's online.
Yeah. Woohoo. Yeah. So why haven't you joined, mate? I invited you 15 minutes ago. And I was like, yep, still waiting for it to load, buddy. Be with you soon.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it's really bad.
All right. Well, much like most of the details of Redfall, we seem to get it from very anonymous and untrustworthy sources around the internet. But it seems we've had a very, very minor rumor / leak, and it's come from the Spanish Redfall Twitter fan page. It's not impossible that they could have information for any number of reasons. Obviously, take it with a handful of salt. I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't feel like there was some degree of credibility, just because it's been shared by other insiders who I consider trustworthy, even though it hasn't been corroborated.
Yeah.
So, those details are this. It'll launch in October. Who the fuck said that? These guys. These guys right here. These handsome lads.
Yeah,
this is why we're open to acquisition. Just going to put it out there.
Again.
Again. Yeah. We always start to sound desperate.
Yeah. Just ease off, dude. Ease off.
Okay. Allegedly, there will be a 5th playable character, which isn't yet announced, which is nice. I like that. I think this 4-player game, when there's a 3-player game or a 4-player game that has one more character than the amount that you can play with, I get good vibes from that,
Really?
Yeah.
Can you name a game that does that?
Yes, but I don't feel like it's an example that illustrates my point, and so I don't want to.
Okay.
It's Outriders. Outriders had 4 classes.
So what does this mean? A 5th playable character? So it just means someone else to select. So it's not just
a different class, yeah.
Yeah. It's just another one in rotation.
But it's a 4-player game.
Yeah. Okay.
That gives me good.
Cool.
That gives me good vibes because it means that they've had extra development time to be able to do that and be like, just whack it in the game, and we're not going to sell this back to you, because they quite easily could be like, we've developed this already, and it doesn't make sense to launch a 4-player game with 5 players. That would be too much content, So we'll sell it back to you.
True. Makes sense.
Anyway, that always gives me good vibes. I don't know who this is, but allegedly James Masters, who's from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, would voice the main villain in English. Don't know who that is.
Huge dude. I don't know. I'm going to Google him right now.
Apparently, people are quite excited about this. So
I think I know who he is. Let me have a look.
From what I understand, he's the antagonist who maybe plays a gremlin, may play a vampire, I guess.
I don't think he plays a gremlin.
I mean, we all
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy the Gremlin Slayer. Let's go.
Is it Masters with a MAR? It's spelled Masters here. Not Masters, but I'm only being corrected to Masters. So
maybe, yeah.
It looks like a misspelling. I don't know. No, yeah, I do recognize him.
But you don't know much else.
No, I don't really know him. It doesn't really get me that excited, to be honest.
Okay.
But I definitely do recognize him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he plays Spike.
Spike?
Yeah.
Cool.
Spike the Gremlin.
It's a good name for a gremlin. 18 hours long, apparently, for the campaign, which is nice and juicy. I'm into that. This is one of those replayable type games, which it allegedly is. 18 hours is good. Yeah. And there will be vampire animals, which is also kind of cool, because that wasn't shown off in the CGI trailer. There wasn't any indication that would be a thing, but, that sounds pretty cool as well. Much like with everything we know about Redfall at the moment, we kind of just need to see gameplay, even though we leave it in Arcane's very capable hands. I just want to see it.
I have faith, but I want to see it, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a weird anomaly, this game.
Yeah, it truly is.
So far.
It truly is.
But I have a strange amount of faith in it.
Yeah, I do as well. Vampires, man. Vampires, that sounds fun. That sounds cool. I want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't?
Okay. This week we also had 2 preview events for 2 games that are Xbox IPs, I guess. One of them was Sea of Thieves, and the other was Elder Scrolls Online, and they were both showing off their 2022 like roadmap sort of thing, and what the focus is going to be. Sea of Thieves had a 22 long minute video, sort of talking about what's really happening, and the idea was here is that they're essentially going to be focusing on bringing in events to adventure mode and adding what they termed like mysteries, which were like not tall tales, but like story driven like threads that you could go through and like out in the world.
Okay.
However, they're shutting down arenas, which is
we've
good.
known that for a while, haven't we?
No.
Oh, I always thought that was. I mean, maybe I just thought it was going to happen just in my own head.
No, arenas. They had publicly said that arenas would not get any more support.
Yeah.
But like it's being straight shut down now because it's like 0.2% of the player base, and it's like, quite frankly, I like, I'm sure they think it's a mistake as well. But like when they first announced this, I was like, why? Like why?
Yeah.
Like it was kind of cool, I guess, but like the fact that you're splitting the player base and just not putting that time into making something cool in the adventure mode just is like a bit frustrating to me. So
yeah. I think it's the right call just to axe it. Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah, difficult decision, but I think it's the right thing to do. There was a big emphasis on them, like with these mysteries and what they wanted to do with adventures was like having a lot of like story focused content, which honestly I'm not sure about. Like, I don't know, because of the way, like, not to say that they can't tell good stories in this format, because I think some of the Tall Tales have done have actually been like quite good in how they use the environment to do the storytelling and stuff. But it's a co-op game, like. I don't know. I don't feel like the story should ever be something which should be spearheading the engagement in a co-op game. Am I wrong?
No, yeah, it'd be nice for it just to like sort of come into the world a bit more naturally, rather than like actually like embarking on what feels like a segmented story away from this open explorative world sort of thing. It kind of almost feels like you're loading into like a mission, right? When you select one of these things, to an extent, and it can kind of disconnect you from this shared world experience. So no, I mean, and plus there's so many of them already, right? Like I don't really feel I feel like at this point, if you start slamming more in, there's already like 10 Tall Tales, and then this massive Pirates of the Caribbean like thing that they did as well. Like that's so many hours of content in this style already. Do you really need to add more?
Yeah.
Like,
and so this is like kind of my thing, like with Sea of Thieves, and I've always said it. It's like I just want you to keep adding fun shit to the sandbox. That's literally it. That's all I want. Just stop doing anything else. And like this really wasn't that direction. And the last big update they did was that they literally called it the Tools Not Rules update, which is like a mantra that the team has had from the beginning, where it's like, there's new enemies, there's the mermaids, there's the crab boys, there's the mermaid staff thing, and the underwater coral reefs. That might have been an update before actually, but all of this sort of stuff, which is like toys, and that's like great. That's what I'm here for. But this sounds like it's going more in the narrative direction, and it's like, I don't know, people coming to see if these 4 stories. I mean, like, make your own stories, yeah, but not to be told a story. There's probably a space for it, but that's kind of like where you throw in your niche, like Pirates of the Caribbean, like extension.
And there is a space for it that's already been done. It's already been filled, right, to an extent, at least for now. Like, just take a break from it, and then maybe add more later down the line. But I don't really feel like we need more right now. I want to fire chickens out of cannons.
Yeah, shit like that. I think you can do that already.
That's what I want to do. You can fire chickens out of cannons.
I think you can do that.
Hang on. Let
me see. But nonetheless, even though I don't think this, it's just words on paper at this point, yet to see what kind of comes of it. But even though that direction doesn't sound like super ideal for me, some of this stuff sounds really interesting. So what they've put out like a nice little picture with like kind of what to expect from season 6 through to 7 to 8 to 9 across the whole year, and the general sort of highlights of those seasons are: season 6 is Sea Forts and Pirate Legend content, and Sea Forts are kind of what I sent you the picture of them. They're like skeleton forts, but like smaller for smaller groups. They're like a bit more dungeony with puzzles, but also like AI encounters.
Yeah.
So they're less like you don't need a squad of 4 to take this down in anything under than 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it's smaller, kind of like a bit more intimate. And they looked really cool. They look great. There's like different themed forts across like different areas of the world that look different and behave differently. Cool. Sounds great.
Nice.
Season 7, new ways to play and progress. I think that sounds quite cool. I don't know what that means. They didn't really touch on it, but new ways to progress. I don't know what else they're wanting to add in terms of progression. There's a battle pass. There's like 6 billion challenges. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
New ways to play
Level
sounds
up your
cool.
pets.
Yeah. New ways to play, I'm hopeful, means give me more weapons. But
that would be cool. Yeah.
But judging by the little picture there, which is of a compass, I get the feeling it's like maybe a new trading company or like, more that. So we'll see.
Really quite cool.
Yeah. Season 8, we've got expanded roleplay and quest types. So having said, I guess that would be the quest types part. So there's that. Again, pretty vague. And then Season 9 is new social options for crews, which I imagine that sounds like the infamous what was it, captaincy update. The update that they said they were going to release before the game launched. They were like, the first update is going to be captaincy. You're going to be able to name your ship and it will be there on the banner and you'll all be able to like do this stuff together on the ship and you'll be banded. And then they ended up delaying that because they were like, we need to get shit in the game, like the Megalodon and like those quests. So, and that, it just never came. And I said, that sounds like that to me. And I know there's like quite a lot of excitement for that. To be able to kind of have a crew and a name and fly under a banner and that sort of stuff. So
that'd be kind of cool.
So that's the general thing, and I've got a bit more of a summary here, but I don't think I really need to go into more detail of what like, that kind of is. But the essential cadence of it is that they plan to add kind of a new adventure a month, which sounds like a similar mini Tall Tale. There's like one monthly, and there's like a decision to make at the end of it, and the decision that the community makes will leave a lasting impact on the Sea of Thieves, which I think was kind of neat. I think that's quite cool. But yeah, so that's kind of what it's Sea of Thieves is looking like for 2022.
Nice,
still going strong.
Pretty hopeful. Yeah,
just like last year, they've described it as their biggest year. They keep saying that every year. They say, this is our biggest year yet. And to be fair, it always is. They've always one up themselves from the previous year. So
yeah, they're not lying.
Go little rockstar. Yeah, and Elder Scrolls Online 2022 preview as well sort of showed off that it was taking place in an entirely new place in the Elder Scrolls universe. It's like a little island. It was called High Isle. I don't know why I haven't put this in the notes. This feels like a very important thing to have in the notes. I'm pretty sure it was called High Isle, and the focus was on kind of Bretons, really, and sort of like the legacy of Bretons. But the big takeaway here, the big like thing that they were showing off was that they were adding a card game.
It is High Isle.
Yes, phew. Say, I really, really could have done and embarrassed myself there. And the card game is going to be called Tales of Tribute. It's just like a fully implemented card game, Gwent kind of feel, that you can find these cards throughout the game and you can kind of play it. Obviously, we don't have any footage of what that looks like or how this plays, but what they did say in terms of how do they flatten the curve to make it accessible versus someone who's played, gajillion hours, is that, and this sounds weird, 2 decks are picked by each player. There are 4 starting decks, so 2 are picked by each player. Those are all shuffled together and then dealt.
Okay.
So there's an element of like, yes, what you've picked as your deck, you're likely to get some of that, but you're also likely to get stuff from other decks that you're maybe not used to, and you have to kind of on the fly kind of make that work together.
Okay.
And so there's an element of getting familiar with the other decks, the higher you go to sort of really make the most out of your knowledge there. Thoughts?
Interesting. That's interesting, I guess. I mean, it depends how many decks there are in the game, right? I mean, are these set decks or are these decks that you can literally just custom create from scratch?
I think there are 4 set decks, but obviously you can find cards that aren't in those decks out in the world to add to them and
Yeah,
customize them.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I think Witcher did it really well with Gwent, so I think there's definitely a space for it here. It's a nice. It's almost like baking in another genre into a game that already is an MMO, right? It's something people can go to and just be like, yeah, let's play some cards. I'm
Yeah.
done fucking raiding. And you're essentially playing a different game at that point. So I do think it's kind of cool to bake something like that into the game.
Yeah.
I think based on what I've played with like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic and all that kind of thing, I think the Elder Scrolls universe has a really cool, and Hearthstone too, has a really cool universe to use for this sort of thing, to make cards. You could like just throw down like Alduin and just be like, I win now,
Yeah.
something like that. There is like, yeah, it's pretty cool, the sort of high fantasy world it's built in universe. You could definitely make some cool cards out of it. Yeah, man, I love card games.
Yeah.
I'm actually on board for it. I mean, obviously this is a paid expansion, similar to all the other expansions they've done, but
I don't know how that'll work actually.
Might bring me back to ESO.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing about this sort of expansion, isn't it? I think it does well to engage new players who are already still engaged, but like, are you really coming back to Elder Scrolls Online for a card game? Like, probably not.
I think it's more aimed at players that are currently playing ESO and could maybe use a bit of a breath of fresh air and play something else,
Keeping
rather than getting returning players to come back.
Yeah. And I think
for sure, but
the reception that I was getting, like having a screen of like Twitter and Reddit, was that a lot of people were kind of disappointed that this was like less of a focus to pull them back. Like I saw a lot of people talking about wanting another class because the last one was Necromancer, which was like 2 years ago or something, or like a new skill line or something, to do with the game. So yeah, so I think it's maybe not appealing to that side of it, but nonetheless, I think it's a pretty cool thing to add. It is cool.
Yeah, it's different and it is cool.
Yeah,
I respect it.
You get a big R from us. Excellent, and this is our last story for today, which I mentioned at the beginning, at the top of the show, and that was our big Xbox leak of the week, which was that Xbox is reportedly working on a Monster Hunter style co-op game, and this comes from Jeffy Grubby over at GamesBeat. I think I can't remember where he talked about it, and then it's also this has been now corroborated by Jess Corden over on Windows Central. So this is like a thing. This is a thing. We're not in rumor territory. And what was said was that it's Certain Affinity who's making it. Certain Affinity are the dudes who, they're typically a support studio, and they've supported with COD, they've supported with Halo. I'm pretty sure this was the company who did the CGI trailers for Halo 2 Anniversary, which, if you remember, look absolutely incredible.
yeah, they did look really, really good.
And so they have like a long history of working with Xbox, and supposedly this is something they were working on. They needed money, and they went to Xbox and said, what do you think? Does this take your fancy? And Xbox said, hell yeah, we'll give you some money. And this is what's happening.
Fucking ace, dude.
Yeah,
I love it.
I like a Monster Hunter game. It's a bit of a untapped genre, isn't it, really?
Yeah, you've had games try to imitate what Monster Hunter's done. But I don't think God Eater was one, Dauntless another, and they've never been mega successful. They've never quite taken down the giant. So Monster Hunter definitely still does have a monopoly in that sort of space, in that genre. But it's quite scary because it is so hard to go up against something like Monster Hunter, and it'd be interesting to see how it performs and just how different it is. Will they go with like swords and hammers and all that sort of stuff, or will they go down a different route and I don't know, have some more inventive weapons. You know, maybe like a fucking something like how Dragon's Dogma did their classes. You know, have like
More
a
magic
real
heavy.
cool like high fantasy magic heavy sort of arsenal to take down these creatures or however the game is going to be. So there's definitely some routes they can take it, and I think that's the route they should go with, to separate itself,
Mhm.
make it a bit more out there
Yeah.
and a bit more high fantasy, I guess.
Yeah, and we know very little. Like, we don't even know if this is first person or third. Like, this could be like a
Yeah,
shooter.
it could be kind of cool. First person could be kind of sick.
Hmm.
That could be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think.
But obviously, I can only envision this game as a third person based on previous games that have come into this space.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think first person could be kind of dope.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I think this is kind of interesting, and what was kind of said, about Monster Hunter is like we probably can't get that like as a day one release on Games Pass, so it'd be good to have something which was kind of competition to that. And obviously, we know Xbox love this, like having these co-op games for obvious reasons, that it drags your friends in as well. And it's easy for your friends to all get on board and try that, and then buy maybe any extras that come out as a result. But allegedly, it has been in development since the summer of 2020, so we're talking like just over a year of development, and is likely slated for a 2023 reveal, and perhaps 2024 release. So still a while off. And that's just rough figures, but that's kind of what that seems to be doing. Now, I'm scared a little bit. I'm scared because this might mean, and I could be reaching here, but this very much might mean someone has seen that PlayStation are looking to lock up Monster Hunter, and are like, we should probably have a competitor ready to go, because the last one sold like hotcakes, and it established Monster Hunter in the West. It was critical, like a critical darling. If the second one is going to just do that, like doubled, and if we don't have that, something like that, it's going to be a problem. And that premise frightens me.
Yeah. I mean, when you put it that way, I mean it's quite an assumption.
Yeah,
but it's a possibility, right? And yeah, that freaks the fuck out of me as well. I've waited so long for it to come to with just mainline consoles in general, but Xbox specifically, and for it to be ripped away would break my heart.
Yeah, that would suck. And like, I really wouldn't put it past. Like, if I had to think, what things would Sony be looking to lock up over this generation, I would think Monster Hunter is one of them. It's like JRPG. It's like co-op, which isn't really, they don't have a market for that with their first party stuff.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me that we see it get the Final Fantasy treatment of like, we're going to lock this away for a year at least.
Stop, Deck.
I know, it's frightening. It's a real
burning me.
Achilles heel.
My soul.
I know. So, we'll have to see, but I don't think that's off the cards. I'm definitely bracing myself for that possibility. That's something.
I don't think I could ever brace myself enough.
I know, dude.
I think it'd always knock me off my feet.
I think that will be the day that we have a YouTube video taken down for profanity.
Yeah. Be the day I buy a PlayStation 5.
Or that, yeah. Okay, and this is the sort of, this kind of came as part of the Windows Central article as well, talking about that dev team, Certain Affinity, that allegedly they're working on a Halo mode as well, which is what I said earlier. Should I talk about this now or not? Well, talk about it now. Allegedly they're working on a Halo Infinite mode as well. As I say, they're generally a support studio, and they're supporting with a game mode. Allegedly, this game mode, we don't know what it is a mode that is designed to be accessible to people who play battle royales.
Okay.
Also, allegedly, this isn't a battle royale. This comes from like other insiders. Surasia, I think you pronounce it. I follow this person, and they have been pretty consistent, generally. And they've said it's not battle royale. Think of it like an Invasion 2.0, which sounds awesome.
Yeah, I love Invasion. Loved it.
That sounds really interesting, and that sounds really great. So this, when I said earlier that I feel like they have a lot in the pipeline and a lot ready to go, I feel like they're going to really go for kind of a bombastic season 2. Maybe this isn't even a season 2 thing, but nonetheless, there's lots of moving parts and there's lots of stuff happening. It's just a matter of when rather than where. Ooh, where?
Oh,
that was a good one. That was
that was crazy.
Proper hit a note there. It sounded like a flute lodged in my throat.
Or crooner of time over
here.
Yeah. No, I mean, mate, something along the lines of Invasion is definitely right up my alley. I'd love to see that make a return into Halo Infinite. And I'm pretty sure at one point we've all been in a party just playing Halo, like 10 of us. And I think every single person's game of choice to come back was like Invasion. Like so many people just like, bring like something like Invasion would be so cool. So, and some of these people were pretty hardcore Halo players, us included. So this is kind of hype.
So
that's it.
Yeah, and I have to imagine this is something that's like the large game mode. If Arena is small, if BTB is medium, this would be large. So maybe it'd be 24v24, 30v30. And that is, you're starting to get into territory of like those are BR numbers. Even though it's not BR. And the tiny little dusting on the top of this in terms of the news comes from the same person on Twitter, Sarasia. You can hack Sentinels allegedly, so they can join your team and defend FOBs. Forward operating basis, same things that are in campaigns. And you know what this sounds like? This doesn't sound like Invasion. That sounds like Warzone. And I know Warzone was quite popular as well, maybe with a different audience than
I liked Warzone.
Yeah, I did like Warzone. I don't think I loved it.
No, me neither.
But I did like it.
It was fine.
Yeah, so I guess maybe if it's because that's if you can hack Sentinels so they can join the team, that sounds like there's PvE elements. So maybe it's kind of like a integration of Invasion and like Warzone, where there is a PvE element of it, but we're also pushing forward like to these different stages of the map.
It kind of sounds like that's the sort of route they're going down for sure. Just making like a hybrid of both these game modes. I like it. I've always been a big fan of PvE mixed with PvP personally. Like I've always had a soft spot for it. So I think it's kind of cool. I like it. I like the idea.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wait and see for me. I don't think I've ever really been super sold on like the EVP. Like I think it like can be kind of fun. I guess I just struggle to see like the rationale for it of like what does this do? Like what is this improving?
I mean, it obviously it depends on the genre too, because you could, Smite has PvEVP. What was the other one? Hunt Showdown PvEVP.
That's true.
Those
I do like
both do it very well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. And will these things give you buffs? Will it just be like allies, or will it
bank points and stuff like that?
Yeah, will it bank points that you can spend and get a fucking Hornet? Not a Wasp, like an actual Hornet, like a bigger version that you and your teammates can all fly in and
like a Falcon,
like storm the base. Yeah, something like that. It's all quite interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised if that makes a return, because if they're combining it with Warzone, where Warzone had the whole deck system and cards that you could deploy vehicles and stuff like that with, maybe they're just going to bake it into a currency that you earn by doing PvEVP or taking bases and stuff like that, and then you can get these things in game. If they're combining it and changing it, could be the kind of route they're going down.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so big old wait and see. As I say,
cool.
I think this is one of the things that if they finally do get a roadmap out, 343 that is, this would be something that I imagine would be on it. Maybe we don't know how far along this is, because Certain Affinity obviously as a different team are working on this, so maybe this is like kind of further out, like holiday 2022. This would be something I would expect to see maybe towards the end of the roadmap, like new game mode. For start dropping in like season 4, I guess, or beginning of season 3. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think it sounds kind of cool. But that is a wrap. That is a big old duck wrap. That's a hoisin duck wrap right there.
Dude, well, that's weird. I'm having that for dinner tonight.
Really?
That's kind of crazy.
I'm having I'm having teriyaki beef rice.
Oh, so we're both having like a sort of Chinesey Asian sort of meal.
Yeah, nice. We are. Good for us.
It's pleasant. I hope
Good for
everyone
us.
else is as
It's
well
pleasant.
watching this.
Yeah. And so, and with that, we fare, we buy
Oh,
and
nailed
have
it.
a good meal.
Dude, you're
And
getting better at these.
I hope
don't think you could.
I hope you have a good meal and a full belly and just fall asleep swiftly. Goodbye.